Howdy doody, everybody. Welcome back to another NewForm event with me, your host, Brandon Gross, and our awesome co-founder, Cole Jan. Welcome to all of you guys who are here on YouTube and watching here on Instagram. If you guys are unfamiliar with what NewForm is, before we get to Cole's awesome workshop today, we are an amazing creative community for product designers, UI, UX designers, web designers, people who are just trying to build things on the web. We help you do that. We have about 2 workshops today. Is one of the workshops that we have once a month. So we're super excited to have you guys here with us for showing you guys how to make an awesome e-commerce section without code using Wix Studio. We're going to be using CMS and a lot of other cool things that Cole wants to show you guys. And maybe we'll have a little bit of a cherry on top for you guys today on that. Last piece I want to share with you guys today is if you guys have not yet started our monthly design challenge, do so. We have not only 2 workshops a month, but we also have a challenge where you guys can utilize some of the skills that we have in these workshops in the challenges. We have cash prizes. You guys get to build your brand because each time there's a winner, whether it's honorable mention or first, second, and third place, we get to broadcast you guys in a show reel on Instagram between daily web designs and UI UX daily tips. The videos get at least at a minimum 20K views, so join at your own discretion. All right, Cole. Actually, I want to say hi to everybody in the chat before. I want to recognize you guys. I appreciate all of you guys on Instagram. As some of you guys are saying hi, hello, welcome. Let us know where you're coming in from. We have Maeve in the chat, JT. We have Pradeep. We have Anam, Hampus, Evie. Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you guys. Glad you guys are here. All right. And of course, if you have any questions about what Cole is going to be going over, or you guys want to kind of stop, you have questions, please just drop them in the chat. I'll be looking at them and I'll relay your questions and things to Cole. So with that said, anything that you want to ask, please do. And if you want access to this content that Cole awesomely put together, you can download it for free at newform.community. All the links to that are in the description on YouTube. So if you want access to that and you guys are watching on Instagram or just want to watch on a bigger screen, comment YouTube on Instagram. We'll send you an automatic DM to watch us on YouTube. All right, Cole, what we got?
Let's take it away. So we can go ahead and share my screen. And what you guys are seeing up here is e-commerce section. We're in this video going to be making it fully responsive, and we're also going to be hooking it up to a CMS. And we're actually going to be making it responsive in 2 different ways. So yeah, very interesting. And I'll show you exactly what we're going to be doing with that. Now, first of all, let me show you, I guess, what it's going to look like as it becomes responsive. And then I'll show you where you can get these exact files for you to use wherever you want to. So let me just preview this real quick and I will show you. So this is what it looks like on desktop, pretty normal. And then as we shrink it down, we change the layout just a tiny bit for tablet, just like so. And then as we continue to shrink down, we change to mobile. And I'm not sure why we ended up down there. Now this is version 2, basically, where we have this slider that has some scroll snapping as well, which is going to be super easy to apply with Wix Studio. And we can just scroll through those super nicely. If I switch over to V1, actually, we can see that it looks very similar on the mobile screens, and it'll actually be identical on the tablet and desktop screens. But instead of having a scroller, we just stack them vertically like so. So you guys can choose whichever way works best for you. In the template, we have both of them in there. So speaking of the template, how do you get that? Well, if you just come over to newform.community, we can navigate over to resources and component library, just like so. And then you'll see ours is the first one here, but we have a bunch of other super useful ones as well. So feel free to check all those out. Just pop in here and you can see the description and you can go ahead and download it. So that's how you grab it if you are interested. So let me show you kind of where we're going to be starting. So we're assuming that you guys start out in Figma and then you design everything either for a client or for your portfolio or for our design challenge. And then you're going to be moving things over into Wix Studio. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that super easily. We're going to be building out some things with repeaters and the CMS actually, and then putting it all together and making it mobile responsive. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to navigate back to my Wix Studio site here, and we will hop in and edit site. I have a clean page set up already. And let's pop over to desktop as well. So there's nothing on here right now. I've deleted the header and the footer, and we can go ahead and start getting things ready for import. So if you're importing from Figma, all you're going to need to do is come up to these three lines up here, hit tools, and then you're going to want to make sure that import from Figma is checked. I already have that checked, so we're good to go. And if you do check it, you'll see this Figma icon pop up on the left here. So you'll just want to click on that. Now my file is already connected as well, but if yours isn't, all you're going to need to do is come up to share over here and hit copy link just like so. Then we can also boot up our Figma to Wix Studio plugin. So I have mine in recents, but if it's not showing up, you just search Figma to Wix Studio and it should be the very first one that pops up. Perfect. So we will set up the export. So we've already done this step actually. So we go into tools and then we do import from Figma. And then we are going to be copying our link next. So we go ahead and just hit share and copy link. If you are in the web browser, you can just copy it from the link up top here. We'll navigate back, and like I said, mine's already in here, but if you wanted to, you would just go ahead and hit connect like so, and you're good to go. You should see it pop up right here, okay? If you don't, you might need to hit refresh import, and hopefully it'll change. If it's not changing, then what we need to do is come in here and start the export just like so. Grab your frame and then hit export frame and then export the frame. And there you go. So that is basically all you need to do on the Figma side of things. And then everything else we're going to be working with is purely from a Wix Studio side of things. So once we have exported that, we should now see it over here. And like I said, refresh the import if you don't see it. Now, a very important thing you want to take into consideration is this 1440 pixels right here. And notice how that matches right up at the top there, and that's very important. If I go ahead and change this to something like 1200, you're going to see that we get a little pop-up here that the match editing size needs to match. So we'll come back up and change that just like so. If you don't do that, your import's going to be all wonky and it's not going to be fantastic. Additionally, you might have new fonts that you're using from Figma. So just make sure that they're also imported. You'll see it right up at the top here if they're not. And once again, that's going to make it import a little wonky, and we don't want that. Now, finally, I know there have been some questions in the past, and we've tried to address them, but we'll go over it one more time just for fun. So you can add this frame either as a container, as a section, or as a page. Now, I typically don't import pages ever, full pages. I prefer to go section by section, and that's exactly what we're going to do in this case. If you just have like a small card or a container, then you would choose container, and oftentimes Wix will realize that it's quite small and default to that automatically. So once we choose section, we can go ahead and just add this to the screen. Should only take a second to come in. It might take a little longer if you have large images, but it'll pop in just like so. All right, so we can go ahead and hide that dialog. So this is looking quite good so far. It's actually probably 90% of the way there. And I would say building all of this out would probably take you 30 to 40 minutes if you're to do it by hand. So we already saved a bunch of time. But in order to make our responsive sections work the way we do, we need to actually make some changes in here. So let me come back to version 2 for a second here. So this and version 1 is actually built into a repeater, and these are important. This is what's going to allow us to connect data if you've never used them before, and it's also what's going to allow us to make a change, just a single change to any of these things, and it's going to propagate against or towards all of them. So for example, if I was to select this and move it up a tiny bit, all of them move up a tiny bit, just like so. So that's why it's called a repeater, because it repeats everything that you have all the way down. Now, by default, you can't get Figma to Wix Studio to kind of recognize repeaters and import them. Even if you use Smart Layout, I think typically it won't work, though I should fact check that before I actually start saying that, but I believe it won't. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're actually going to kind of rebuild our section down below, but trust me, it's going to be quite simple to do. So we have our blank section down below, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it to 100 view height, just so that we have some room to work, and our section isn't going to be closing in on us. So that's first of all what we're going to do. Next, I want to come in here and I'm going to set up some padding. I think we're going to go for something like 20 pixels on the sides. Actually, that's pretty small. Let's go 50 pixels on the sides, then we'll do the exact same thing on the top, 50 pixels on the top. This is going to give us a nice border so that we're not expanding off of the page, which is super useful. Okay. Now, I guess while we're on the topic of sections, I did want to talk about one thing real quick that some of you in the challenge seem to have. So I don't have an example right now, but sometimes when me and Brandon are going through the challenges, you got a beautiful challenge submission down the center. But if we're viewing it on a screen that is slightly wider than what you guys built on, then what we're going to see is these white or black bars along the sides, which don't look great. Now, we don't really take that into account too much because we know we don't require it to be mobile responsive. But if you did want to get rid of those, all you have to do is uncheck this apply max width to the section, and you should not have any problems anymore, okay, in terms of the colors stopping and giving you those bars. Now, take into consideration that this means that if someone's viewing it on a super wide screen, your text and images are going to continue to scale up, which probably isn't what you want. But if it is, or for the challenge, since me and Brandon are typically viewing it on simple, 16:9 monitors, then you could go ahead and take that off. We're going to leave it on for now, but I did just want to go over that real quick. Yeah, just because it's something useful to know. So with that out of the way, we're actually going to go ahead and get a repeater in here. So if we come into the elements here, we can see down here, we have a repeater. So let's go ahead and drag that on here, just like so. Once again, I'm going to come into advanced settings here, and we're going to set the width to 100%. But since we have set the padding on the left and the right, it's going to respect that padding. And so we're only going to go out as far as we can. We're still gonna have that 50 pixel gap on either side, which is exactly what we want. Now, we have 3 cards down here, but we have 4 up here. So let's actually add another one. So you just come into 3 items up here and hit manage, and then just click add item. Now it's coming in at the bottom, but that's okay because we can actually scroll down and we can set the number of items per row. Now, this is good if you want more control, but it means that on smaller screen sizes, we're going to need to change that, which is good. That's actually what we want. If you're kind of building some sort of gallery where you want it to automatically adjust based on the screen size, then you would go ahead and turn this off. But in this case, we're going to leave it on, and we're going to set the number of items to 4 so that we have 4 nice even columns here. Then I am going to come back up here, and we're going to grab a single item just like so. And I'm going to set this to a specific height. Now, the nice thing about these scaled
Hey,
pixels,
Cole.
yeah, what's up?
Sorry. This is actually a really good question. Hampus is asking, is it possible to remove max width from the whole page as a whole and not section by section?
Yes, Pompous, very good question. It absolutely is. If you come up to the top here and hit customize breakpoints, you're going to see max width 1600 pixels. Just go ahead and click this eye icon and then hit edit max width, just like so. You can either turn it off entirely or you can set a different max width. Some newer sites like Linear are actually setting their max width to about 1200 pixels. But if we're kind of going for a more modern and trendy site, then you'd probably set it out to maybe 1920 pixels or even more. Or like I said, you can just turn it off entirely. There's also some other cool things in these site styles that you can play around with. So the colors and typography, that's okay. But page transitions, I don't know if many people know about this. We haven't actually covered these in our tutorials yet, but I guess we probably should get around to that at some point. But yes, I hope that answers your question. You absolutely can, and it's actually pretty simple to do. Yeah, are there any other questions, Brandon, right now?
Nope, that was just the one in context that I wanted to pull out.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so yeah, what was I talking about? Pixels, scaled pixels. So the nice thing about scaled pixels is that when we're working in the exact same editing dimensions as we were in Figma, what we can do is we can just hop back over and we can see how tall one of these cards is. So one of these cards, the height here is 483 pixels. So we can actually just copy that number directly over into Wix Studio, so 483, and that's going to give us the exact same dimensions as in our Figma project. And then the exact same thing is true for the gaps here. So we can hop back over once again, and I'm just hitting Option on my keyboard, and we can see that I've set a space of 20 for each of these. So we can hop back over to Wix Studio. And once again, if I hop into the repeater, not the item here, we can set the gaps here to the 20 scaled pixels instead. And so this means that you can get kind of that exact look and feel that you want, that you got on your Figma site, on your Wix Studio site, which is really cool and definitely very useful for your challenges if you're building or prototyping in Figma and then bringing it over to Wix Studio. Awesome. So the last thing I'm going to do is just drag this down kind of to the bottom here. We are going to keep it pinned to the top right now, and that's for some responsive reasons. I'll show you why in a second. And that's also going to allow us to set our height of the section to auto. But once again, we will go over that in a second. Just checking to see how we're doing on time. Okay, we're looking good. I might need to move a little faster here though. Okay. So the rest of this is pretty straightforward. We're literally just going to be copying all of this down. And by copying, I mean cannibalizing really. So I'm just going to like steal this and drag it down like so. And we'll make sure it attaches in nicely, just like that. And then once again, we can grab our containers. And you'll see that as soon as I attach this to, oh shoot, it didn't attach, 1 second. As soon as I attach this to our repeater, you're going to see it propagate all the way across. And you can also see right now that since we measure those dimensions on Figma and then set them to the exact same dimensions here, you'll see that this card fits in perfectly into here, which is exactly what we want. So once we pop that in, we're going to see it across all of them. And I'm just going to go ahead and center it both horizontally and vertically just to make our lives a little easier. Now we currently have an item and then a container. You could go ahead and remove this container just like so, and no bad changes are going to happen. And typically it's a good idea so that you don't have a bunch of redundant elements, one inside the other. So this is looking pretty good, but we obviously have the same exact thing for all of our repeaters here. And that's where the CMS comes in. And it's actually super powerful. Me and Brandon use this on our NewForm site all the time when we're displaying your challenge submissions, when we're displaying the winners, when we're displaying the leaderboard. We use these everywhere. So let me show you how these work and why they work. I'm just going to drag this down a touch to make it look a little better, and then we will get on with that. So actually, before we do that, I'm going to make some changes to this text here, which I probably should have done right at the beginning. So I'm going to grab both of these and we're just going to center it in the container here. Jokes, I'm going to do that one at a time. There we go. Perfect. And since it's a repeater, we only have to do that once and it's going to propagate across all of these. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is on Figma, we have a nice glassy blur effect. Now that does not import into Wix Studio fantastically well, as in it doesn't import at all, but you can just go ahead and select the container and toggle this apply glass effect, and it actually looks quite good. You can go ahead and make some changes to the blur intensity. Maybe we'll dial it down a little bit, and then same idea for this container up here. We'll add some blur and then dial it back a touch, but yeah, that's not super important, but it is cool to know. Anyways, so connecting to the CMS. Now, I've already gone ahead and connected a CMS. So if we come into this little icon that you see here, we come into your collections, we have products right here. And the nice thing about a CMS is it's really easy to set up. Then you're not screwing around with all sorts of different images in the editor. You just set it up once like we did, and then you can change anything you want. And the other nice thing is if you wanted to come in and modify this, you wouldn't need to change any of the design. You just come into the CMS and literally change, swap out the images, and you would be good to go. Now, I am not going to make any changes in here right now, but we'll be back in a second to play with a couple of these settings. But yeah, setting this up is very straightforward. I imagine all of you could do that pretty easily. So once you have your CMS, we can go ahead and close this out. Let's start with the image. So it's literally just as simple as hitting connect to CMS, just like this, and adding a data set. Now, this is easy because we only have one, and we will just name it products, just like so. Okay, go ahead and hit create, and then click back into our image because it kicked us out. There we go. So the image source is what we're going to be playing with. You probably should add alt text as a best practice. Just for SEO. We don't have that here because this isn't SEO listed. And then the link, this is optional, but in this context, you probably should also have a link to the page that you're going to be having this on. Definitely probably a good idea. But yeah, so Wix is going to go ahead and sort out the things that are compatible and that aren't compatible. And so we can add image just like so, and you'll see that all of our images instantly pop in just like that. And you can also see alt text boost SEO accessibility. So generally a good idea to pop that in there if you have it. Next, let's change this text. So they all say summer dress and they all say $74. Let's make sure that is changed. So we'll change out the title. And now we see that each of them matches up to exactly what it says. And we will do the exact same thing for this one here. We will match this to price. Perfect. Now we are having a couple issues with the text here, but that's actually super easy to fix. We'll just hop in here and turn on advanced settings. Anytime you have text that could be a lot of different widths, right? So like, what if this knitted shawl was like $2,000? Then that would be really long, right? So we don't know exactly how long it's going to be. So either we could just set this to be quite long like this, and then you'd probably be okay. And you can do that, but there's actually a better way to do it. And that's to come in here and just select max content, just like this. So then no matter how long it is, it's always going to expand to be the max content, which is good in this case. So perfect. This is looking quite good, but I'm fussy and I want, well, actually first let's delete this. I am fussy and I want the, this summer dress to be on the left here and the puffer jacket to be on the right, and these two to be swapped just like so. So I don't know why I switched into that. Let's come back to here. So we can actually do that really, really easily with a couple settings in our CMS to order them basically however you want to. So let's pop back into our CMS here and I'll show you how to do that. So first of all, let's change this sort. Right now I'm sorting from newest to oldest, but let's switch it. Let's sort from oldest to newest. So we'll just hop in here and change that. And you can sort by a ton of different things. We're sorting by created date, which isn't actually shown here. It's a hidden field, but we could sort by price. We could sort by title, all sorts of different things, right? So if you wanted the cheapest thing first and then the most expensive or vice versa, you could absolutely do that. But we'll go ahead and do this just like so. Perfect. So the order has changed here, but the order has not changed on our website. As we can see, it's the exact same. And that's because we forgot to do one important thing. So let's hop back in here, just like so. And we need to select mirror on site and select this just like that. And so now we are mirroring on the site. Now demo should pop up here. And I'm not entirely sure why it's not. Okay, there it goes. So now we have our summer dress on the left and our puffer jacket on the right, and these two have swapped positions, right? So you can do this with basically anything you want to. Yeah, like I said, price, sort by the name as well, totally all possible. But yeah, that is a super useful thing to know. But so if we come back over here and we can preview it, now it's looking pretty good, right? Up until kind of our desktop size, it's all looking good. And like I was saying, with our max width, it is stopping once we hit 1600 pixels and not scaling past that, which is good. Now I am noticing that I forgot to turn the background on these items off. So let me just come in here and turn this background down, just like that. Now, if we switch to, let's say, tablet, looks okay. Things are getting a little small here. And then if we switch to mobile, things are getting quite small, too small to read. So we need to make a couple changes in here. And the way we're going to do that is actually super easy. It's going to take me like 2 clicks to do all this. Since we've used a repeater, since we've used a CMS, all of our data is set up, and it's very easy to change the, I guess, orientation of how things are displayed. So remember when I said we were going to set the number of items per row? Well, that's going to help us out a ton here, because we can just go down and select 2 number of items per row. You can even go ahead and select 1 item per row, and that is going to make your life easier. But you'll see if I try and scroll right now, I'm trying to scroll, there's nothing. It's getting caught off at the bottom here. And that is because we've set the height to 100 view height and nothing more. And I don't want that anymore, right? It was good on desktop, but now it's no good. So we're gonna set that to auto. Now, if we scroll down, you'll see that we actually have all this extra space here. And I feel like this can kind of sometimes be a pain in the ass for Wix, but it's just super simple to fix once you know what's going on. So this height here is set to auto, which means that it should only be up to this, up to where our content is, but it's not, it's expanding further. And the reason why is because down here in rows, Wix automatically sets up a number here when sometimes it shouldn't. So we need to set that to auto as well. And when they're both set to auto, then we get exactly what we want, which is for the page to stop right here. So sometimes if your sections aren't behaving how you want them to and you've changed everything up here, then just come down to this and check out your columns and rows. And if you see some funky numbers in there, then you know that's what's causing you issues. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to address right now is this text looks relatively good, but I'm going to bump up this font size a touch because it's getting a little small. And then the other thing is that these little containers here are getting all out of whack. And same idea with these. Now, with these, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of manually adjust them. But for these up here, we're actually going to do something a little bit different. So this font size, I'm going to set to 16, and we will also set this text to 16 as well. But for these containers, they actually don't change a whole lot in size on our largest screen size or on our smallest screen size. So we're going to come back to desktop. If you're making changes that are going to cascade down to tablet or mobile, then you definitely want to be in desktop. So here they're a perfect circle, but once we start changing the screen size, it gets all whacked. So what I want to do is once again turn on advanced settings, just like this. Come in here and turn on pixels. Don't turn on starred pixels, which aren't in here. And we're not going to use any of the relative widths or heights. We are going to use pixels. And this is absolute, which means it's not going to change size as we go. And we can also turn off scale properties, just like that. And we can also set this to not scale size proportionally. We'll turn on pixels. Perfect. So now when we come back to tablet, we can see it looks good, right? It hasn't changed size and it's still a perfect circle, which is what we want. And if we come down to mobile, it's still looking good. But on mobile, this is also still a little bit small. So I want to make it a touch larger before we actually start making changes. And the chat is distracting me. Isaac, yes, I'm sorry, I said a bad word. My bad. Yeah, okay. So we need to, once again, change the amount of products that we have on screen. So right now we have 2 across. We're going to change that to 1 across on mobile. And this is why repeaters are so nice when you're making anything mobile responsive, because it literally takes a couple clicks. You might change one thing and it's going to propagate all of them super easy. I'm also going to blow up this text and make it a little larger because it is quite small right now. So first of all, let's set this down to 1 item. Now this container actually still looks quite good based on the sizing. So sometimes you'll just have to play around with it. And if you notice that it's staying the same size on all the screen sizes, then typically it's your best bet to use pixels and just make it, not make it scale at all. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna drag this whole repeater down because I need more room, and I just dragged the item down instead. Okay, perfect. So let's drag this down and just give ourselves a little more room, and that's not gonna work with me. Why not? Okay, let's come down to the margins and just set something big. There we go. Now I have some room. Awesome. So font size, yeah, if you have something on Figma like we do, then let's actually reference that and check out what we have. So we have 30 pixels here. Now, when it comes to sizing images and containers, typically from Figma to Wix Studio is pretty much bang on accurate. When it comes to text sizes, however, I find that Figma is generally a little bit smaller, on the smaller side. So if we put in 30 in Wix, it should be a little bit larger, I believe. At least that's just what I found in my experience, but let's set it up just like that. And yeah, it looks a little bit larger, I would say. Not massively though. So we can probably stick with what we have exactly there. And once again, 20 pixels, we will come back here and set this to 20 pixels. Awesome. Okay. We can go ahead and also make this full width, just like so. Perfect. And actually, I might have been backwards on that. It might be a bit smaller on Wix because I'm going to make this a touch larger, just like this. Awesome. Okay. So everything's looking pretty good. Let's just change, or let's fix these cards real quick down here. And like I said, it's just one simple change for this card, and then they're all going to propagate through. Now, we probably could have gotten away with making these all the same size throughout the viewports as well, but we'll have to. You just have to check that out and see. We're not going to do that for this one, but you probably could get away with it. And then the corners, I'm also going to bump those up once again, and we could probably even change these. We could get rid of scale properties and just keep it at one set fixed amount once again, but in the essence of time, we will not do that right now. Okay, perfect. So this is looking reasonably good on mobile as well. You might want to adjust some spacings here and whatnot, but for the most part, it's all legible. You can read everything, and that's a definite plus. So first of all, we have kind of two different layouts on mobile. This is our first one, which we've already built, but we also have a second one as well, which is this repeater. And so if I hop into preview mode right here, it also has scroll snapping, which is very nice to see and actually really fun. And I would say that on mobile, this is probably more natural than stacking everything one on top of the other. It does mean that some of your cards are going to be kind of hidden off to the side. For example, if you really wanted to show everyone the puffer jacket, but you also wanted to show everyone the summer dress, you can't do that because they're, one's off the page, right? You could make this a little smaller. We do get a little bit of the bucket hat here, but not all of it. So that's just something to consider. If it's very, very important, you probably just want to stack everything one on top of the other. But this is probably a more accessible way to do it. So excuse me, let's do that right now. And it's actually going to take us just like a couple of clicks, honestly. So in here, we're going to switch from cards into slider, just like that. Okay. And we can already see that everything is sliding along quite well and nicely. So you could leave it there, but you'll notice that, oops, let me scroll, please. There we go. You'll notice that it gets cut off right here. And let me preview so you can see that a bit better. So it gets cut off. We have our border here, and it's kind of cutting off our image. And I don't want that. I want our image to sit flush with the edge of the screen, but also have some padding on this side. So let's do that. And we're also going to bump up the side margins here a little bit, or the gap between them rather, just because they're getting a little bit on the small side. So let's bump that up to something like 12. Yeah, that's a bit better. All right, so in order to do that, we actually need to come into our section and get rid of the side padding altogether. Now that is going to mean that our text also gets rid of its side padding. So we're going to come in here and just add it back, just like so. You could also group these into a container and add the padding to the container. Honestly, that's probably a better, more scalable solution. But in this case, we're just going to do this. So 14 pixels, just like so. And then we can set this over kind of like that. Perfect. So now our repeater is flush with the edge, but it's also flush with the other edge, and we don't want that. Now, repeaters are a little tricky. You got to add the spacing in the right spot. Otherwise, it kind of looks a little weird. So for example, I'm just in the repeater element right now. And if I go ahead and add 12 pixels here, or let's do 14 rather, because we're doing 14 above. If I had 14 pixels here, we do get our spacing on this one side, and it does sit flush with the other side. But the issue is that it now disappears, right? So if I hop in a preview once again, it disappears right there. We get that kind of bar once again, which I don't want. If we hop into V2, we can notice that it scrolls right off the page, just like so. And that is what I want. So how do we get that functional? Well, it's actually really simple. We just need to add the spacing in a bit different of a spot. So here, instead of adding the margin to the actual repeater, what we want to do is we want to add padding instead. And that padding is it's going to give us that space, but it's also going to make it part of the element. So if I hop back in here now and I start scrolling off the page, we get that gap. We get it's sitting flush with the screen here, but it also sits flush with the screen here, which is really good. That is exactly what we want. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. There is one more step though. We do want to set some scroll snapping so that it snaps into place super nicely. It's just like it's quite a high-end kind of feel when you have some scroll snapping in there. Really great for client websites. And honestly, it's super easy. You just come down here to scroll snap a line. Make sure you are in slider. If you're in something else like list or grid cells, this won't pop up, but we'll do center and we will turn off show scroll bar. Typically it's not needed. And then, yeah, perfect. So now everything scroll snaps. If I try and stop in the middle, it's going to snap me to one of them, just like so. And yeah, that is the e-commerce section. We've gone ahead and made it fully mobile responsive. It looks fantastic on desktop here. If we squeeze it down, it looks great on tablet as well. And it also looks fantastic on mobile, both with our cool scroll effect here. And if I navigate back here, also with just stacking the cards one on top of the other. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. That is everything that I have from you guys or for you guys today. But yeah, I would love to answer any questions if you have them about this component, about web design in particular, about the challenge. Just fire away and yeah, let me know.
All right, guys, while you get your questions in the chat, as I said, we are preparing some cherries on top if we can. Maybe we'll pop one of the things that we've prepared. But while we do that, Cole, I'm gonna switch our cameras. You guys put your questions in the chat. We have about, I think, 20 minutes. So depending on whether you guys pop your questions in, we're gonna give you guys some time. Well, in the background, I was telling you guys these static images I was popping into Midjourney so we can kind of get a little bit more of a what is the word I'm looking, animated looking feel, just kind of get some movement on the page. So what we're gonna go ahead and do, I'm gonna switch our camera here, and Cole, if you can pop open your Discord. Essentially I just popped you over a Discord, what's it called, a Dropbox link. If you want to pop those open, I gave you 4 videos. You don't have to use all 4, but the reason I wanted to share this with you guys, even if we just show you guys one video, is I really recommend, especially I saw something on LinkedIn the other day. It shared it with Cole, where when it comes to images, if you're using static images and you just really wish you had video assets, if you guys do not have or have not tried Midjourney to kind of bring a little bit more life to your images, where you can make them actually look like living video, highly recommend you guys do this. I saw, I wish I could give you guys the link to what we saw. What we put together is basically the same thing, but essentially this guy on LinkedIn was like, hey, if you guys just have static images, might as well just pop that image into ChatGPT, have ChatGPT understand what the image is, and ask it for a particular prompt that it can pop in, that you can pop into Midjourney to make that image look a little bit more, adds movement to the page. So Cole, just let me know when you have at least one of those things. But I'm also going to look over on Instagram to see if you guys had any questiones. We do have a question in the chat. Do you prefer Wix Studio or Webflow? If you've been watching this, I hope you can see, you can see that we prefer Wix Studio. Webflow I have not used in years. And honestly, you know, personally, I'll let Cole have it, give his answer as well. But Wix Studio just makes it a lot easier for me to be a designer in a tool, you know, and I think that's, you have to understand, it's not what tool is best, it's how do you work and what tool allows you to work the way that you do. So Wix Studio allows me to drag and drop. It allows me to be use my designer mind. I have to learn a little bit of the tool's learning curve, but I don't have to be a developer if I don't want to. If you do want to be a developer, you can still do that in Wix Studio. It's actually even better if you do know how to code. But the thing is that Wix Studio allows me to not have to code, and as I learn code along the way, if I desire, I can make my whatever I'm making just that much better. Isaac says, get that thing for show. Studio for show. Yes, sir.
We are good to go over here, Brandon. So if you want to share
cool.
the screen, we'll pop those in. Those are actually really good. Do you want to walk us through one more time what you did for those?
Sure thing. So basically, and I wish I could actually put, this is something we can talk about in our Discord, because maybe we'll have like a little bit of a session. Actually, we'll do this. If you guys come to our design and chat today at 1 p.m. EST, first off, if you're not part of our community, if you're on Instagram and you're watching this, comment, join, and we'll send you an automatic DM so to where you can join our NewForm community, and essentially we'll show you guys the process of how we made this. But because I don't have my screen shared at the moment, it's going to make it difficult, but we'll talk about this process today at 1 p.m. EST. But essentially what I did is I took Cole's images that he had and I put them into ChatGPT. I was like, hey, I have these 4 images. I need Midjourney prompts for each one to get a little bit of movement for the for our e-commerce store asset videos. And so basically what I did was exactly that, and you will see somewhat of the outcome here in just a second.
Yeah, so I'm just going ahead and uploading these. These are actually really quite good. I'm actually a little shocked how good these are, but
I'm getting better.
So
I'm getting
better. Absolutely, these are actually quite good. Let me actually pull in these. Let me see, can I go full screen in here? I can, sort of. So this is what it created off just that one static image. And that's quite good, I gotta say.
This was probably
yeah.
the hardest one too. Like, it somewhat made the Nike logo a little funky, but I think the other ones are. It did well with that one. I was very surprised.
Oh,
But the other ones, yeah.
Like this one's good. That looks realistic. Let's see. There we go. This one also looks good. That looks real. Like that could be a real thing. So could this one, honestly. Yeah. Huh. Okay. So those are really good, and Brandon's gonna need to give us a full rundown on how exactly he did that, because I clearly am not up enough on the AI front. But the nice thing about the CMS is we can literally just pop these in and they'll be good to go. So in our CMS, we just click on the image, hit replace image, and we will match each one to it. Oh, right. Okay. So since these are videos instead of images, we're actually going to need to add a new field. If you wanted to keep it as image, no, you're good, Brandon. If you wanted to keep it as image, you could convert this to a GIF, or I think a WebM would also work. Maybe, definitely a GIF would work, and that would be good. But instead, we are going to add video in here, and it's still going to be super easy because we can just link up the video. So just go ahead and match all of these once you're in, and this is the beauty of using a CMS, right? Then we don't have to screw around on the actual dashboard or the builder rather. We can just kind of input our data and go from there. So once that's in, it should be as simple as switching this out from image to video. I will make sure to swap these out on the template as well. Currently they aren't, but I will make sure to do that. So currently we have it connects to image, and oh right, so we're actually going to need to add a video in here. So let's do that real quick right here. So video, let's grab that, and I think we're going to grab a video just like that. Perfect. Okay, so we have that on there. Let's try and add that to our repeater. Not sure why that's not attaching. Okay, that's okay. Shoot, where'd my video box go? Here we go. Now that I'm thinking about it, Brandon, I don't know if we can put video boxes in repeaters.
You might be right. But let's try one thing before we quit. Let's Control X.
Control X, okay.
On the video player.
Let me see. Oh, okay. Hold on.
Oh, there we go. Hey, we're in there. We're in there.
Okay, so there's a video box and then there's video. So we just want video apparently. Okay, and then I'm not going to worry about making it look nice right now. We can hop in here and just, click on your CMS connection, and not the video title, the video source connects to video, just like that. And boom, we have that in there. So let me actually make it look good now. I'm going to hop in here and I'm going to use my advanced settings. We'll do 100% width and 100% height as well. And then we'll just go ahead and center that. Boom. Okay. So everything underneath is missing. It's just below. But do you think that I can get these to autoplay? Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so video settings, auto plays, and we'll do plays in the loop as well. And if you're being SEO friendly, you'd add a description, but we aren't. And yeah, there you go. So obviously we just have to stick this behind our other elements, but yeah, that adds a lot of motion to the page. Might be a little distracting. You might want to, oh yeah, we can pause it if need be. But yeah, no, these are actually really, really nice. So let me pop these below everything else, not below the image though. And then we will have our stuff up here too. Now this does kind of cover the bar to control things. But yeah, no, this is looking good. So yeah, if you have AI assets, it's actually really easy to stick them in. You just need to switch to video and you should be off to the races.
Yes, sir. And also, if you guys are wondering, like, oh, you know, I like the still images better, there's different ways. Like, we did this at the tail end. We didn't even expect to do this. It was just like, oh, well, maybe if we finish this, maybe we can plop this in. But if you were to do something like this, you probably would want to keep maybe the stills, and maybe on hover, you play the video in the background. And also, there are some limitations. Like, we wanted to show you guys how to use the CMS and the repeater, but sometimes maybe the repeater, because the video box, which doesn't have all those UI elements on the video, you might want to use that instead. So there's a lot of different things. Really pay attention to when Cole finished. Pay attention to that and how he built that. The video piece, that's separate. That's literally just one thing we wanted to share. I was just like, hey, maybe we can kind of do this with the video stuff. So it's kind of an idea for you guys to play around with that and try to figure out how you want to utilize that in your own projects. I just wanted to show you guys specifically, or us, that hey, if you have still images and you want to make them move, use Midjourney to make them come alive. So yes. All right, Hampus says this is great. Very nice, sir.
Yeah, well, apparently he didn't know that there was autoplay. Yeah, and Wix support wasn't very helpful with that either.
Very nice. Alrighty, guys. Well, that is it. Thank you again, Cole, for your masterfulness. Thank you guys for coming. If you guys are on YouTube and you have yet to subscribe and you haven't yet liked this video, please do. That helps a tremendous amount. Second piece, if you guys are on Instagram and you guys want to join the community after watching this, or you have questions about what we did today, or I saw some questions about, you know, what are the first, second, third steps about joining or really getting on one's path to being a web designer. We have a ton of creatives in NewForm, not only ourselves, but other people who are just starting, but also a lot more advanced than us and have just a lot of experience, guys. There's beginners, there's intermediates, there's experts, there's agency owners in our community, people who are just doing great work. So if you guys want to get started on your web design journey, just highly recommend you just start by joining the community. Environment is everything when you're learning. And that's why we have our workshops twice a month, as well as our challenge, so we can continuously teach you guys, expose you guys to new information, and keeps us up to date as well, and allows you guys each and every month in our challenges to utilize what you've learned throughout your time in the community and have a fun way to just build something in a fun, creative way. And you guys get, you know, there's cash prizes, and you're able to build your brand on top of that just for participating. With that being said, I will see you guys in Design and Chat today at 1 p.m. EST. That is in about, trying to do the math on it, I think it's in an hour. An hour yeah. in like 6 minutes. So again, it's a great time for you guys to get your questions answered about how to get started. Do you have a portfolio you want to share with us? Do you have some questions or some projects you would like to get feedback on, or just to hang out? That's the time. So any closing thoughts, Cole?
Yeah, if you want to download any of the components that we have, just head over to the component library, like I showed at the start, newform.community. Check them out, grab them if you want. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you not next week, but the week after for another live stream just like this, and then for our challenge at the end of the month too.
Beautiful. 17 days, guys. 17 more days for the challenge deadline. So get it in. All right, guys. See you then. Have a good day. Bye.